Be good, say what's up, guys. Hope everybody's doing well. Manchester United versus Crystal Palace 2-0. It's just more of the same. It is just more of the same. Yes, this is a super old game, a week old to be exact. But I mean, if I'm covering Arsenal versus Manchester City, don't really care about Arsenal. I'm not gonna lie, Manchester City, they're growing on me, and I do enjoy watching certain aspects of their game. But how could I now watch Manchester United? I mean, I grew up watching Manchester United, and despite them being atrocious, I was just curious after the highlights for the FA Cup, which I can no longer cover those games. I did watch the highlights, and I mean, it wasn't just Harry Maguire that was offside. Half the team was offside. Half that team was offside. And there was something just poetic and romantic about watching, VAR not being there in the first place. But yeah, that was clearly an offside. Surprised that nobody from Leicester City, at least in the highlights, you don't see anybody complaining. And I was curious to see what was going on with Crystal Palace. I was trying to make time to be able to watch that game, and I just couldn't, just got too busy. But it's just more of the same. And the only one that stands out, Diallo. And I would argue that the only reason that happens is because everybody's just playing so bad, despite what you want to say, because I think a lot of these players, they leave. I think McTominay's having a really good season in Napoli. The GOAT, Anthony's having I think the start of his loan for Real Betis is going pretty well. I think he was named man of the match in his first game, if I'm not mistaken. So despite what you want to say, like when these players end up leaving, going somewhere else, or before they came to the club, they are subpar players, subpar. So when you have someone like Diallo, and I do think Diallo is a good player, but he seems like he's better than he probably really is. In fact, just because everybody is below average. Garnacho had a really good first half. Congrats, I guess, bravo to Garnacho. And then the second half, he just turned off. There was a point that I completely forgot that he was on the field and thought maybe that he was subbed. But the first half, despite not, again, typical Garnacho, not taking on anybody, he did manage to get the ball through for centers. And he did not lose the ball. Man, he did not lose the ball. Good on you, Garnacho. And I'm not being sarcastic. Like, that was good to see. And that was it. Bruno Fernandes, Mainu, they had shots. Garnacho had shots. Mainu was the closest one, I think. And maybe there was somebody else there. I think Ugarte had like a volley that ended up being blocked pretty much by the keeper or saved. And that was it. And poor, man, that, you know what? It's better that he got injured now than at the end of this year or maybe even next year, just because he might miss the World Cup. And I'm talking about Lisandro Martinez. That was hard to watch. Because I'm sure what was going through his mind was like, again, I'm going to be, out for it. And all these players want to do is play. They just want to be on the field play. Despite a team that's not playing that well in the first place, you just want to play. You absolutely just want to be on the field, and you want to be 100% as long as you can healthy. Maybe some minor injuries that set you back, a couple of weeks, maybe 1 or 2 months, but you just want to play. You want to be 100% healthy, and I could feel that just running through his mind, and as he wept in tears when he was being hauled off in the stretcher. He was pretty good, and he seemed the only one that could pick out a pass. He seemed the only one that had the vision to be able to pick out one of his teammates. And then after that, everybody was they were average. I don't think anybody had like a horrible Lenny Yoro, everything that's talked about this guy. Maguire, even though he was responsible for the first goal, I don't think he was solely responsible for the second goal. I think that was Yoro as well. I think Yoro could have done a better job tracking Munoz. Really good play from Crystal Palace, but how do you not see that? And at a point you see Eriksen pointing out, but it was kind of like a half-ass like signal, like hey, he might go that way. Like him and Lenny Yoro don't talk or something. They don't have dialogues outside of the field. There was no urgency, no necessity. And the same thing with Bruno Fernandes. Even though Maguire at this point in his career, he should know to, especially since Mateta just scored. Like that first goal was all him. He was just ball watching, hit the crossbar, and ends up an easy. Kind of difficult. He could have missed that as well, but he had no pressure on him. Mateta had nobody on him. So after scoring a goal, why aren't you 100% sticking like glue onto Mateta, right? But I'm gonna say Bruno Fernandes also could have sprinted. He was just kind of jogging when he saw Mateta, like, oh man, like, you're going to be by yourself, or yelling with everything that he has. I know the stadium is loud, but I know he can hear you if you yell at him, yo, Harry, to your left, behind you, he's coming. At the same time, I am concerned, more or less, but I'm not foaming at the mouth, because I'm seeing it through the lens of just, it's a mediocre team. It's a mid to low table team. And when you see it that way, it works out. You can actually enjoy Manchester United play. That's why I wanted to watch them. And despite it not being the most entertaining game, I had a lot of fun with this game. I enjoyed myself watching a Manchester United lose, not because I want them to lose, just because watching them play and seeing Crystal Palace, because Crystal Palace had less opportunities, but they had way more clear opportunities to be able to win this game, and they rightly deserve to win this game. Whereas Manchester United had most of the possession, if I'm not mistaken, had a lot of time on Crystal Palace's third half, and nothing came about. You never saw that anything was going to happen with this team, because they don't have absolutely no one I can think of. Like, Garnacho in the first half looked sort of promising, but he just kind of just peaked, and nothing ended up happening. He was just safe on the ball, and he looked competent. He didn't look like he was going to just lose the ball if you pass the ball. He looked like a sure bet if you gave him the ball. You wanted to give him the ball. That's about it. So more of the same thing. Nothing's changed. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. And when it does, it blows my mind how, like, they think that this one player is going to come in, this guy Orgu that supposedly played against Leicester City, and he had a good game. How certain players are going to come in and they're going to change the whole dynamic, or a coach coming in, a manager coming in like Amarin, and he's going to change it. I think it goes deeper than that, and it's going to take a variety of so many things, different permutations happening all at once for them to be the team that they once were. Because I don't get that sense. Even when last year Erik ten Hag came in and they started playing well, they were qualified for, I think it was Europa, it never felt like they were going to lift off. It just seemed like they were just there for the moment. They were riding that wave, and then at any point they were going to get knocked off. And that's what eventually ended up happening. And I think that would have happened with any coach that would came in. I don't think it's necessarily because Erik ten Hag did something wrong, although he didn't make good decisions at times. It was entertaining. I wasn't that bored, to be quite honest. Anyways, just wanted to talk about that. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.